welcome back to my kitchen. Today we are going to take these amazing homegrown jalapenos and turn them into some jalapeno candy. So let's get started. All right, friends, for this recipe, I found it in this book that I found at Tractor Supply. Can it, ferment it, and we're going to be using our jalapenos that we grew in the garden to make some delicious candied jalapenos. This I'm going to go ahead and can, and we're going to keep this down in the pantry for any time that I want to use it. So let's get started with this recipe. All right, so I've already cleaned and washed all of my jalapenos. Then you want to make sure you're putting on some rubber gloves. You do not want to be handling jalapenos without any gloves, unless you want your hands to be burning or your eyes to be burning. If you accidentally touch your eyes, and it's all done, you're over. All right, so first thing first is we're going to go ahead and chop these up into slices. Make sure you remove the top because we don't want that. And then just go through and slice them just like that. So not very big, perfectly sliced, edible sizes. Seeds on or off, however you want it. It is going to be hotter if you leave in the seeds. You can always try to remove some of the seeds. I might do that as we go. We will see. And then you're going to go ahead and transfer that into a bowl. You want to get 16 cups of jalapenos in total. So let's continue chopping these up. You can always throw in some red ones too, just to change up the color a little bit. All right, friends, so now that we have finished chopping all of our jalapenos, the next thing is we're gonna make our sauce. So we're gonna make a sweet sauce to go with our jalapenos. So first thing is you wanna do 1.5 cups of apple cider vinegar. And make sure you put this into a big pot because that's a lot of jalapenos that we're gonna have to cook down. So 1.5 cups apple cider vinegar, 4 cups of sugar, 1/2 teaspoon of turmeric powder, 1/2 teaspoon of celery seed, and 1 tablespoon of garlic, ground garlic. We're gonna go ahead and put this on the stove and we're gonna start stirring this and dissolving all the sugar. Once the sugar has completely dissolved, then we'll go ahead and add in our jalapenos. We're gonna stir it, bring it back to a boil, and let it boil for at least 5 minutes. But if you like your jalapenos a little bit softer, then you're gonna cook a little bit longer. So depending on your taste, you're gonna go ahead and cook it as long as you prefer. 5 minutes up to 15 minutes. So let's go ahead and get this on the stove and start dissolving our sugar. All right, friends, so this is now at a boil. I'm gonna turn it down a little bit. The sugar has dissolved. So we are gonna go ahead and add our jalapenos. Now just go ahead and stir this up. We want to make sure we stir this really good. Your jalapenos will start breaking down and softening. All right, friends, so our jalapenos have come to a boil. So you need to let them go for at least, we don't want that. Take that out. You need to boil this for at least 5 minutes, but then you can go longer depending on your preference for how soft you like your jalapenos. And see all these juices? They're coming up. All right, friends, so our jalapenos are done. Now it's time to start filling our jars so that we can go ahead and can these. On the stove, I have my canner with water and my clean mason jars. I'm gonna go ahead and pull those out and we're gonna start filling those jars right now. Make sure you're using a funnel so you don't get a mess all over the place. I'm gonna first start with a slotted spoon so that way I can get mostly the jalapenos in here, and then I'll go back at the end and add our liquid. Make sure that you leave a 1-inch headspace. I'm going back with my brine and I'm adding that to each of the jars. I'm gonna use this to make sure there are no air bubbles, and then I can add more if I need to. All right, friends, now my jars are completely filled. I'm gonna go ahead with a wet rag and clean the rims of each of the jars. That way when I put on the lid, they will seal properly. If there's anything left on there, these will not seal properly. Make sure you clean your jars with a clean, wet rag. Next, you're gonna take your clean lids and place them on top of your jars. Next, take your rings and you wanna do it finger tight, not too tight. All right, once your jars are sealed, now it's time to place them into your canner. Carefully place them in your canner because your canner should be hot because you should have boiling water in there right now. All right, friends, so now that my canner is full with my jars, I made sure I filled my canner to where the jars were covered by 1 to 2 inches of water. We are going to be water bath canning this, so you need to make sure your jars are covered with water before you put the lid on your canner. Next, you're going to go ahead and place your lid on top. I am using my All-American canner, but I am not putting on the weighted gauge. I'm not tightening it down, and I'm not putting on the weighted gauge. Therefore, this will not be a pressure canning. I am just allowing the water to boil on the inside and allowing the pressure to leave through the top. Once this comes to a boil, then you're gonna go ahead and start your time. I will be processing mine for 10 minutes because I am using jelly jars. If I was using pint-sized jars, I would be processing this for 15 minutes. So I will see you all back as soon as this is done. All right, friends, so everything is done. Timer went off. I turned off the heat. I removed the lid and I let it sit for 5 minutes. Now it's time to remove our jars. Make sure you have a towel laying down on your counter. Do not put hot jars on a cool counter. They will shock them and possibly break them. So now we're gonna carefully take our jars out of the canner. Lift them straight up like this. Do not tilt them. The water on the top will eventually evaporate. Go ahead and put them onto your towel. All right, friends, our candied jalapenos are done. So the next step is we need to let them sit here for 12 to 24 hours. That's gonna allow them to fully seal. You will know that once you take off the rings. If the lid does not come up and there is no give when you press the top of your lid, you know they have completely sealed. If they have not sealed completely, you need to reprocess them again in the water bath canner. At that time, if they do not seal for a second time, you need to put them in your refrigerator and use them up within a couple months. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share with your friends and family. As always, I hope all is well and have a blessed day.
You dry. Do you know I'm looking? And I can't help but smile. Do you know how much